Many adult learners, adult piano students, believe that to get better at the piano, you have to suffer. They figure the road to mastery is paved with scales, arpeggios, and the relentless tick of a metronome. They think that joy is a distraction and that real progress only comes from rigid discipline. Now, discipline is good, but that belief taken to its extreme is what makes so many people quit. But what if there's a secret? A secret so simple and so against everything that maybe you've been led to believe that it feels like a rebellion. This secret can not only bring your passion for music back with a vengeance, it can make you improve faster than you ever have before. And it all starts with one decision. Stop practicing and start playing. Now, I know I often use the term practicing, but I want to look at this in a different light. I want to show you how you can break out of the practice room prison and find musical freedom. And, more importantly, how you can do it right now. I'm going to tell you why embracing the music you genuinely love is the fastest way to become the musician you've always wanted to be. That's what this video is all about. Giving you permission to do the one thing that maybe you've been feeling guilty about, and that's having fun. So why do adult learners experience burnout? For many adult piano students, their relationship with the instrument can start to feel like a chore. Maybe you remember this from when you took traditional piano lessons. You tried to take regular piano lessons, and then every day feels the same. You sit down at the piano, and you're weighed down by obligation. You start the ritual, you scales up and down, Hanon exercises, and your fingers start to feel like they're made of lead. You end up sight reading little pieces that you don't have any emotional connection to just because they're in a book that you're working your way through, that your teacher is making you do. I remember those days. I had those days of frustration. Now, exercises, of course, can be beneficial, but you don't want to be doing them out of a sense of guilt. That's the worst part of practice for many piano students. It's the guilt. You know, there's a real hustle culture surrounding musicians. And I was guided into this culture in my days of taking piano lessons. You're not practicing 4 hours a day, you're never going to make it. You skipped doing your exercises and your scales and arpeggios, someone else is getting ahead. It's easy to internalize this nagging voice, this inner critic that turns your creative escape into a courtroom where you're always found guilty. The piano, which started as a choice, has become a chore. You might be putting in hours, but not feeling like you're getting any better. Maybe your playing feels sterile. It has no soul. You can play a bunch of notes, but you can't make them sing. Well, the disconnect, it's huge. Here you are, you're spending all this time on an activity that's supposed to be about expression, and yet you don't really feel anything, and you're getting frustrated. Well, you're on a fast track to complete musician burnout, that place where you're just tired of trying and failing to feel the one thing that got you started in the first place, the joy of making music. And so your piano, your keyboard starts collecting dust. Days turn into a week, then 2, and the thought of sitting down to play, it doesn't really interest you anymore. It's not a creative block, it's like a brick wall. You've come to associate the piano with pressure, anxiety, and a constant feeling of not being good enough. And you find yourself at a crossroads, convinced that maybe you just don't have it. Maybe you weren't meant to be a musician after all. Now, the turning point for a lot of musicians, for me, actually, it didn't come from a master class with a guru, but it often came from a simple, unexpected place. Let's say you're in the car, you're mindlessly flipping through the radio stations or Sirius XM, and then it happens. A song from your past comes on. a song that you haven't heard in forever. Might be a simple pop song, nothing fancy, but it hits you like a lightning bolt. You're not analyzing the structure. You're not thinking about the mix. You're just feeling it. Maybe the windows are down and you're singing along. And for the first time in what feels like an eternity, music for you is just pure, unfiltered joy. That song is like a time machine. It's pulling up memories and feelings that perhaps you've buried under a mountain of music theory. So when you get home, you don't reach for the exercise books. You walk straight to your piano, and with that melody still ringing in your head, you try and pick out the opening chords by ear. And maybe it's clumsy. Maybe you hit wrong notes. Maybe your timing is off a little bit. But it feels different, doesn't it? You're not practicing in the traditional sense. You're on a mission. You could call this your aha moment. What if the goal wasn't to get better in some vague, abstract way? What if the goal was just to play this one song that you heard? It's a total flip from this deep-seated motivation to practice in order to please your teacher. But now you have this deep-rooted motivation just playing for the pure, simple joy of playing. This is the moment you decide to stop bullying yourself into practicing and start inviting yourself to play. What was the song that did it for me? Well, believe it or not, it was a song, Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. I was 12 years old. I was mesmerized by the gospel-influenced piano. I wanted to figure it out. And so eventually, I found the sheet music. Now, in those days, you actually had to go to a music store and buy a physical copy. And I found out that you could learn to play popular songs on the piano, not just little classical pieces. Now, I still loved classical music, but I wanted to learn how to play things like Stairway to Heaven. So I bought that sheet music as well. And actually, my parents bought it for me. I didn't have any money back in 1970. By the way, Stairway to Heaven sounds really good on piano. You should try it. So let's talk about how fun makes you a better musician. Let's get back to the song maybe that you heard that came back from a long time ago, whatever that song might have been. And that song becomes an obsession. You spend time dissecting the chord voicings, not because a teacher told you to do that, but because it sounds so cool. You just have to know how to play those chords. And so you learn the chord progression, you figure out the melody, and in the process, you're learning more about practical harmony, music theory, than anything you might have learned from a textbook. You try to make the piano sing when you're playing the vocal melody, and that teaches you more about phrasing and touch than any exercise ever could. It's a tough process, yes, but it's a joyful kind of tough. It's not the frustration of failure, it's the thrill of solving a puzzle. You may not realize it then, but you are literally rewiring your brain. Every time you nail a little piece of the song, your brain's reward system gives you a hit of dopamine, that feel-good chemical that makes you want to keep going. You're turning practice from a chore into a fun, self-motivating game. And then an amazing thing happens. You start getting better. Your technique, which had been stuck on a plateau maybe, it starts to improve. Why? Because the song that you love demands that you improve. That complex chord progression forces your fingers to find a new level of dexterity. Maybe this song has a tricky rhythm, and that forces your timing to get better. You're not just playing scales anymore, as valuable as those may be, but you're using those patterns in a real musical context. And now your brain is building strong, usable skills. It's engaged. It's enjoyable learning like this. It builds new neural pathways. You're basically turning that bumpy dirt road in your brain into a super fast highway, and your ear gets better. Before, You were just trying to reproduce notes from a page, but now you're trying to figure out the songs you love, and you're becoming a listener. You start hearing the bass lines, the harmonies, the layers. You begin to learn how chords work. This is ear training in its most powerful form. You're connecting with music on an emotional level. It stops being about just hitting the right notes and starts being about conveying the feeling of the song. That emotional connection is what separates a mere technician from an artist. It's a release. And the stress you used to feel around the piano, it just melts away. Research backs this up, showing that engaging with music you love can actually reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, and elevate your mood. Your practice sessions become play sessions. It becomes your therapy. You're no longer just a musician in training. You're a fan of music, coming at it with joy and curiosity instead of pressure and judgment. And that makes all the difference. So, what's the one song that made you fall in love with music? What's the one track that, if you could play it perfectly right now on the piano, would bring you absolute joy? Pause for a second. Really think about it. You got it? Now go to the comments section and tell me what it is. Seriously. Typing it down? Typing it, I guess. That's the first step. Sharing it, that makes you accountable. Let's build a playlist of dream songs right here together. One of the main things I do here on At Home with Music is to analyze and show you different ways to play popular songs from every genre. Standards, folk tunes, hymns, pop songs. You can learn so much from every type of music. So if this feels like a breath of fresh air, if it feels like someone, namely me, is giving you permission to have fun with music, well, do me a favor and like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I talk a lot about the intersection of passion and psychology, about being a musician, and I'd love for you to be a part of this community. Now, maybe you've been told that progress in music has to be something of a grind. And perhaps you've been made to believe that just playing music for fun can be a distraction from the real work of learning. But the truth is, and it's backed by psychology, it's even backed by neuroscience, it's the exact opposite. Your passion is the fuel. Your love for the songs that move you is the most powerful learning tool that you have. You know, every great musician that you admire became great because they played what they loved. Yes, sometimes they challenged themselves by trying something unfamiliar. Maybe they tried to learn a song that needed to grow on them. That's valuable too. But they never abandoned the songs they loved. They learned from them. Playing the music you adore does more than just make you happy. It sharpens your memory. It sharpens your concentration. It increases your problem-solving skills. It's like a full-body workout for your brain. You're engaging both hemispheres at once to maximize learning and make those skills that you're gaining stick. When you play a song that you have a personal connection to, you're not just practicing. You're weaving a rich web of emotional and neurological connections that lock in your progress. So here it is. I'm giving you your permission slip. Give yourself a break from the monotonous drills, as valuable as they may be, and think of that one song and make it your mission to learn it. It doesn't matter if it's a simple pop song or a more complex jazz tune. If you love it, it has value. And that love, that intrinsic fire will carry you through the tough parts and turn frustration into a joyful puzzle. Don't force yourself to practice. Instead, invite yourself to play. Reconnect with the music fan inside of you, because when you do, you'll find the joy you've been missing and the progress you've been chasing. Well, it was there all along, waiting for you in the notes of the songs you love. So let me know what those songs are, and I can help guide you through them and help you learn them. That's one of the goals of At Home with Music. If you'd like to support my work, you can go to my Patreon and become a patron of the channel. Link is in the description. You can also buy me a coffee. I have my coffee every morning, but I switch to decaf in the afternoon. I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.